Advice given is for general information purposes. All legal cases are different, and you should seek the advice of your own attorney before acting or making decisions. No attorney-client privilege applies to communications on this show, and no attorney-client relationship is created by calling or writing in. Attorney Rominger practices only in Pennsylvania and maintains his primary office in Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
Hey, good afternoon. 540-0580. Carl Rominger here answering your legal questions. 540-0580. If that's not the talk line number, let me know. All right, what do we want to know? Well, while you're warming your phone up and calling 540-0580. Shane, do I repeat it enough times early in the show? 540-0580. RJ Harris, are you happy? I don't know. December 11th at 7 p.m., I will be speaking at the Northern York Fish and Game Club on gun laws and gun rights. That's in York, PA. We have it up on the website, romingerlaw.com. Of course, you can also find it somewhere on my Facebook. And all kinds of good things on Facebook right now, I'm certain of that. December 15th, we're going to have more gun-related stuff. We're going to have David Goldman of the Gun Trust Lawyer, or actually the Gun Trust Lawyer, coming on to talk to us about gun trust so you can buy fully automatic weapons and all those other good things. So if you've heard about these gun trusts and you want to know about gun trusts, because we get a lot of questions at the office, I decided to bring on a national expert on it. And his name is David Goldman. Of course, we'll take all your other gun law questions as well. Mark that down for December 15th at 2 p.m. And on January 19th, we're going to have David Goss of the North American Forensic Accounting joining us talking about civil cases, white-collar crimes, and what a forensic accountant does and how that works. And on February 2nd, Glenn Yoder from Caldwell Banker Select Professionals will be on to talk about property management and landlord-tenant issues. Also, we're going to be picking our 3 winners from Facebook at some point here today, probably in the second hour. Now, in the first hour, and by the way, talk line number is 540-0580. And if you listen to me on Durgan the last 2 days, you know that they've been having problems with the phones around here, but they assure me that won't happen with our show today. 540-0580. 540-0580. So give it a try. Make sure these lines are working. But in the meantime, I wanted to tell you, there was a fire in the elementary school over there in Carlisle the other day where some kids were injured. And I just want to editorialize on that a little bit. There's a lot of recriminations, what happened, who did what, and we'll have to wait for the investigation to happen. I hear all kinds of mixed stories, and obviously living in Carlisle and working in Carlisle, you hear all kinds of scuttlebutt. So who knows what the truth will show. But interestingly, there was an article in the Patriot, and I wanted to comment on that. It's absolutely correct that at some level it would seem like a slam dunk lawsuit. My kid goes to school, gets injured, somebody's responsible. The school should pay for the burns, the pain, the suffering, the scarring, whatever it might be. But schools are actually creatures of the state. They have sovereign immunity, which means they're very difficult to sue. And I was discussing this with another lawyer actually not too long ago who referenced, what are the issues and how do you actually reach them? And the answer is going to be, as I think the lawyer speculated in the Patriot article, very difficult to sort out. It's not clear that the schools are actually liable. It's not clear that you can actually reach them even if they are negligent or responsible, because it doesn't fall under a lot of the clearly defined tort exceptions or reasons you can sue where the state has waived sovereign immunity. And a federal 1983 claim, which is a civil rights style claim, you're going to have to really try to shoehorn it in. And that's going to become very difficult. So it may turn out to be not something where there's going to be a lot of lawsuits, or if there are, they're going to end up settling or not be very successful. But we don't know yet. And obviously, if I was one of those parents, I would still explore all my legal options. The other thing you also saw, I think, in the Patriot today is, there's no laws that regulate science labs in high schools in Pennsylvania. So there'll be a call for legislation now. And I suspect we'll see some kind of legislation coming out. Now, you have this balance between, we could do everything in a science lab where it's completely safe and 100% sealed off, but it may make it less fun, less interesting, and really America needs more scientists. So that's a huge issue in this country these days. So I would strongly suggest that before we rush to legislation, we consider that. So that's my theme on that. If you guys want to discuss it, 540-0580. And, of course, if you have any other legal questions today, you want to get them answered on the air, you want to talk about divorce, politics, whatever, 540-0580. Michelle, you're on the air.
Hi, Carl. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay. I have a question for you. Unfortunately, my 18-year-old son received an underage drinking citation, which he deserves. I mean, it is what it is. But the citation, the end of my story is that the citation that was mailed to us, he wasn't even told he was getting a citation at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was mailed to us about a month later, and the details that are on the citation are nothing like what happened, and they paint a much worse picture of his condition when he was cited. And I wondered, does it matter? Do we need to worry about the details and contest those now or in the future, or is it just a citation is a citation?
Well, a citation is a citation, and what they write on there is just what they believe they can prove. Now, I'm gonna back up for 1 second and say, now you're a mom, right?
Uh-huh.
So were you there for this incident?
I was not, and
Right.
I guess what I need from you, I realize that, it's my son and I'm biased and you don't know him, but I guess I need you to presume that what I'm telling you is so.
Okay. So I would tell you the first thing. So if you were in my office, I'd say, well, Mom, first of all, let's just, we'll presume this, but keep in mind that a child's version versus what actually happened might be different. But assuming that it isn't, it really doesn't matter what's on the citation because all that matters is whether they can prove the case or not. And the citation is not a fact of record, so to speak. And a citation like this can be handled in a court not of record, which is district justice. But theoretically, somebody could look that up and read it someday.
Right.
That's,
so in the future, if he should ever receive another one, and I'm certainly hoping that is not the case, would they take into consideration in looking at his character, his history, what was on the citation? That
nobody besides somebody in the same police department is likely to look at that citation. Although it depends, because these days a lot of stuff is database. So if the police officer wrote a report and puts it in Metro or Clean or one of these other systems that a lot of the police departments share, I know when I was pulled over in Susquehanna Township, the Carlisle police officers were all busting me over it because they all like to read the report. So obviously, as you can see, they can share information, and departments that do share the databases can look up suspects, etc. So Now,
may I tell you just briefly what's on there?
Yeah.
In terms of, what actually happened, and again, just presume that this is so, and I understand, the whole parent-kid thing, but I want you to presume that it is true, and we'll go from there. He was drinking. One of the kids that was drinking with him, it was 4 a.m. He got in the car with somebody who was drinking, very stupid, and as they were pulling into the parking lot, they got pulled over. The driver, he said, got taken out, did all his tricks, and failed everything and got a DUI. Mm-hmm. And then my son was asked to get out, which he did. He correctly gave his name, his phone number, his address, and he went back to his dorm. The citation reads that he was found unconscious in the back of a car at 4 a.m. in a parking lot, admitted to drinking what he said. He told, those matched up. I think he said 5 drinks. At least the information was the same on both. We all know about it. That may not quite be right. But at any rate, he also did not, it says cannot sign under the signature portion, which also indicates he was profoundly drunk. Now, I guess what I'm saying is if a police officer found someone so profoundly drunk they were unconscious to begin with, why would he not have taken him for medical attention or at least done a breathalyzer to see what his physical status was? And he didn't.
And see, now you got my attention, actually, because I'm listening to that and I'm saying, if they found somebody unconscious or close to unconscious, in my experience, they quite often take them into custody to protect them.
Absolutely.
The other reason they take them into custody is because if they do, which they may do on a public drunk or underage, if there's some indication of that, for safety reasons, they also then get a free pat down to look for marijuana pipes and other things. Yep. So in my experience,
I would have wanted them to do that. In fact, at first I was completely freaked out that this had happened and my son could have died. I'm picturing him in the back of the car unconscious in 4 a.m, and that is obviously a huge scare. And it turns out where he just walked back to his dorm. He was awake. He's the one that told the driver, "You're being pulled over."
Was it Shippensburg?
No, it was Penn State.
Penn State.
And it was a state police officer, by the way.
Interesting.
So I'm concerned, just in the fact that do we need to worry about this? Because I feel strongly, number one, if that had happened, I don't believe it because I believe my son. But secondly, I'm certain he would have at least, I think procedure would call for, at the very least, a breathalyzer, which he did not do.
The corpus of that particular crime is him being under the age of 21 and having consumed alcohol or being in possession of it.
However, the original or the official citation reads, the white paper reads, purchasing alcohol by a minor.
The statute is purchase or consumption, so they may have just abbreviated it.
Perfect. Okay, I understand.
The long and short of it, though, is he should definitely at least try to enter into a diversionary program, and I'm sure up in the Penn State area they have that, where he can avoid a conviction under the underage drinking statute.
Okay.
He may still lose his driver's license, however.
Right.
All right.
A diversionary
program called ARD is a lot of times what's offered.
Okay.
I'm not exactly familiar with the state college protocols. If you want to call an attorney up there, I would recommend Joe Amendola.
Okay.
He's an attorney up there that I worked with on the Sandusky case, and I know that he knows how to handle those things up there.
Okay.
All right.
And I don't need to worry necessarily, though, that it looks so bad on the citation.
No, but don't just let him plead guilty to it either, because then it becomes a permanent record, and you still lose your driver's license. If he goes into the ARD program, it will be expunged off his record, and when they expunge it, they will also remove his name from the police databases because that's part of the expungement rules.
I see. And how long? At what point would he be able to be expunged?
After he completes the ARD.
Oh,
if he pleads guilty, it won't be till after he's 21.
Interesting. Okay.
All right,
Thank
Michelle.
you so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
540-0580. Carl Rominger here answering your legal questions. We'll be back after the break. All right, we're back. Carl Rominger here, 540-0580. Oh, boy. 540-0580. Chuck, what's your question?
Carl, you're with me?
I am with you. We're on the air. The whole world can hear you.
Carl, you're taking gun questions today. I heard you mentioned your seminar. Was it December 11th, 7 p.m.?
It is December 11th, 7 p.m. at the Northern York Fish and Game Club. That's at 40 Bremer Road, York, PA.
Carl, it's going to be almost next to impossible for me to make that. Do you have one in the future over at Harrisburg?
We did one at Harrisburg Hunters and Anglers in the fall, and I usually go back in the fall again. But if you are a member of a fishing game club or know any in the area, just go to them and say, I'll come, and the chain will line it up.
Wait, which one? Which fishing game?
Well, whatever one you want us to, whatever one you're a member of.
I'm a member of a couple. Do you do Carlisle also?
We would do Carlisle's. I'm actually a member of Carlisle, I'm pretty sure, if I renewed this year.
But nothing on the books for now, right?
Nothing else on the books right now.
Okay. Can I ask you a question for today?
Yeah.
Carl, while I do have a concise list of my firearms that I've accumulated over probably 4+ decades.
I thought you were going to say a concise list of questions I wanted to ask you, but okay, go ahead.
The list, the description of the firearm with the serial number over the last, like I said, accumulated over 40+ years for insurance purposes.
Mm-hmm.
A while back, I don't know if it was your show or someone else, I heard someone say something to the effect that they got in some, was it a traffic issue while they had a firearm in the car?
Right.
And the police pressed the issue till the person proved ownership with some type of documentation. I think and this goes quite a while back. I'm not sure. Don't hold me to the specifics of it. Did they confiscate his firearm till he was able to actually, and it was a firearm that he had purchased quite a while back and didn't keep receipts. So my question is today is from going forward from this day, and that would be again a worst case scenario that some other issue brought the guns into play. But is there a way of creating? And let me go back. The ones from long ago, some of them were when I was a teenager. Some of them were handguns that my father even went through the process of. And listening to your prior shows, I heard you say that those automatically transfer down or something to that.
Yeah, you don't have to actually go to anywhere to transfer it.
But now, with that other gentleman's scenario in mind, and for the last decade or decade and a half, I could probably pull out all of the receipts, visa stubs, and documentation for ones in the last decade and a half. But the old ones, I'm not sure that I have documents.
Well,
as a matter of fact,
Chuck, I'm gonna stop you for a second. What you're saying is, how am I going to prove I own this gun if that becomes a situation?
Well, I don't see myself getting in that situation, but even for insurance purposes, suppose my house burned down to cinders, and I have.
Well, that's why you schedule with your.
The list would be gone also, but
right. With your wait, stop, slow down. With your insurance company, you have to schedule the guns ahead of time. Meaning, you need to let your insurance agent know how many guns you have and descriptions of them.
I got you.
That way, they'll verify it, or if they want to, they're not going to expect you to set up and if your house burns down 2 days later, they might call insurance fraud. But if it's 5 years later, and they may ask for some proof of ownership. But the point is, proof of ownership is just going to be of them in your possession. And when I was in law school, our property professor Feldman had some kid take his watch off, and toss it up to the professor, and then the professor said, I'll give it back to you when you can prove to me that it's your watch.
Mm-hmm.
How do you prove it's your watch?
Yeah.
Well, the answer is possession's 9/10 of the law, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's got an inscription on it that clearly shows that it means you, or you have a certificate that proves you bought it. But even a certificate, that's really not title property. So the point is, with non-title property like firearms, you're never going to know. You're never going to have absolute proof.
You know, if I recall correctly, even today for the long guns, they do that triplicate paper that one goes to some agency,
right,
and you get a call. And I have those for, like I said, the last decade and a half or so firearms purchases, and it's the ones in between before that I'm concerned of. Would it be possible to get? Does some agency, a state agency, have a list of?
They're not supposed to be keeping a list or registry in Pennsylvania.
I know. And there's firearm owners that don't like that, and I see the point.
Well, yeah, and Chuck, this is my concern is, you know, when the despot takes over, and Obama gets his 5th term or some such thing.
When the despot takes over, I was going to say, you're late on that call.
And they come to you, and they say, well, we've got this great comprehensive list of all the guns you own, so please hand them over. Mm-hmm. The good news is I won't have to give them a couple of my guns because they're never going to be able to trace them to me, even though I lawfully own them. Bought them at yard sales and things like that.
Documenting these firearms, and you're making another great point there that it's better to never have had any, huh?
Well, and what I mean by that is if you got good documentation on 28 out of 32 of your weapons, don't worry about the other 4. Those are the 4 you get to keep when the government takes over.
I got you.
All right?
Yeah. Well, you answered my question and you didn't answer it, but I see what you're trying to say there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no great, but I'm trying to tell you, there's no great way to prove you own anything. Absent, you know.
Yeah, but
you can get
the
a
thing
deed.
about that is I don't have. I'm not worried about proving I own my microwave oven. My guns that somebody breaks in my house and go out and do harm, rob a bank, harm someone else for, other things come into play there.
No, I understand that. And what you're trying to do is keep them dangerous instrumentalities under control.
Exactly.
But you don't have to prove. Listen, if you call the police up and say I had a Stevens shotgun and I no longer have it, 12 gauge model, but I don't know the serial number, the police will take the report, be a little annoyed that you don't know the serial number, but that's all you need to do.
Okay.
You met your obligation. You don't even actually have to report a gun stolen. Technically, you don't have to report anything stolen.
Yeah, and in a worst-case scenario, one of the ones, as a matter of fact, it was a handgun that my father purchased for me when I was a teenager yet. If that should become stolen, the handguns, which are a little more scrutinized and things, even that's not going to create a big deal that it was signed for by him 40 years ago, not me.
Correct.
Okay, so...
It took me 6 months to find a 9mm one time.
Pardon me?
It took me 6 months to find one of my 9mm one time.
That's not a good story.
Couldn't remember where I ever put it.
You didn't find it in your grandson's crib, did you?
No, it wasn't there. No, it was safely stowed away with some other materials, but it was just funny. I was like, what did I ever do with that? I haven't shot that in years.
Well, I'm not guilty of that one. I know where they're at, and they're locked up, and ammunition, I'm pretty responsible with my firearms. But, yeah, I just wanted to find out about this list. And
all right, my friend.
Okay. Hey, thanks for the scoop.
540-0580. Carl Rominger answering your legal questions. Got a couple people coming up on deck here. Okay. He wanted to know about the gun law stuff. So I want to remind you guys, if you have a fish and game club or organization you're in, or you want me to come talk about gun law or family law or divorce law or whatever, just call Shane, get him on the ring-a-ling. He will put you down, and we'll go from there. And also want to remind you that on December 15th, we're going to do the gun trust lawyer. He's going to come on and talk about getting a gun trust, because here in Pennsylvania, if you do get a gun trust, you'll be able to own a fully automatic weapon somehow or another. And he's going to explain all that to us. Tom, you're on the air.
Hey, Carl.
Hey, Tom.
Tom Leonard. I'm a lawyer in Harrisburg.
Yeah.
Just a comment. I saw the movie Lincoln on Thursday night, and I recommend everybody see it. It's about our 16th president, who, as you know, was a lawyer, and it shows how he wrestled with huge, huge issues, specifically the push to abolish slavery. Mm-hmm. And it's a good look at how constitutions get amended in our great history. So anyway, just passing that on. Have you seen it, Carl?
I have not seen it yet. I would like to, and I just haven't had time yet. But I am going to.
Understand. Okay, thanks for your listening, and have a great holiday. See you then.
Right. Thank you very much. I think he's kind of recommending we all go watch Lincoln, which isn't a bad idea. Actually, he's considered one of the greatest, and actually he is the most read political commentator of all time, quite interestingly. Bill, you're on WHP 580.
Hello.
Yeah, Bill.
Yes, Carl. Here's the question. About a month or so ago, I get a letter, comes to my house, somebody else's name on it, from the probation office in Franklin County in Chambersburg. So I just marked it, not at this address, sent it back, put it back in the post office. Then a couple of weeks later, I get another letter, same thing. So I call them, okay, and I leave a message there. Well, nothing happened again. So when the third letter came, I drove over there and talked to them, okay, and kind of told them that, the guy wasn't there and all this stuff, and they're telling me, well, what we need to do, we need to take these letters and go to the judge to get a bench warrant.
Okay.
Now, here, 2 days ago, I get the fourth letter. I mean, why can't they just take those letters, and how long does it take to get a bench warrant?
It would seem like they should be able to figure that out pretty quick. Was the guy ever at your address?
Pardon me?
Was the guy...
No, not. I didn't know how he got our address. That's
Gotcha.
the things that worries us.
Yeah, that's interesting. So somehow probation's got the wrong address.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Well, let me ask you another question. Well, the last time I called him on Thursday, I said, maybe I have to get an attorney to get you off my back because you're harassing me.
I would just write a letter. If you're really getting that bothered by it, write a letter to the president judge of the county, which is, you said Chambersburg?
Yeah.
That's Doug Herman down there.
Okay.
He's a very good judge. Write him a letter and just explain, hey, your probation department keeps sending me letters, and I'd like them to stop sending them here because this guy's never lived here.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he will take care of that.
And on the Internet, I find out the guys from Shippensburg, why can't they find that out?
Right. Well, hey, I was just in court where they're trying to find somebody, and the Commonwealth's claiming they can't go to trial because they can't find the witness. So my cross-exam's like, how much time did you spend looking for the guy? And the police officer's like, well, less than an hour.
Oh, yeah. Well.
And I'm like, did you use any databases? Well, I looked in the JNet. I'm like, did you use any other databases? No. Did you Google them? No.
Yeah.
All right, my friend.
Okay, thanks a lot, Carl.
All right, talk to you later.
Right, bye-bye.
540-0580. Talk to you after the break. All right, we're back. 540-0580. Oh, Rick, let's talk to you about surgery on a horse. What's going on?
Hi. This goes back quite a while, but I had a horse, I still have the horse, that I took to New Bolton Center. Local vet couldn't handle it. He said, take it to New Bolton. I took it down there. They treated it for a jaw infection, and this went on for over 2.5 years. I kept going back and forth and back and forth. And this horse, eventually, I took it to a vet up in the Williamsport area. Mm-hmm. He pulled the tooth. There was a tooth involved. He pulled the tooth. 6 weeks later, the horse is healed up. New Bolton Center had been suing me. I had been down to Philadelphia twice, and they want me to settle.
Did I lose you? Oh, no, we lost him. Rick. All right, call me back, Rick. Call me back. All right, sounds like I think I can anticipate the question. They're charging you a whole boatload of money for some treatments that didn't work, and you go to somebody else and they quickly fix the problem. This is similar to medical claims because the exact course of treatment and reasonably prudent thing, another vet would have to come in and tell us, these guys really screwed it up or these guys didn't. And so if a reasonably prudent vet could have or would have proceeded as they did down there, then they probably didn't breach their professional duty or their contract. I'm assuming you have some unpaid bill and they want to suing you over it and you'd want to defend and say you didn't provide the services you wanted. So, that's going to be the question. Can you get a vet to say that they didn't do what a reasonably prudent veterinarian would do with a horse, an equine issue such as you were experiencing? And if the answer is yes, then a judge may rule in your favor. If the answer is no, then they win. I know that they are god-awful expensive. Ray, you're on WHP 580 with Carl Rominger. Talk line number is 540-0580. What's your question, Ray?
Yeah, I got a speeding ticket. Now, it looks like it says it's going 36.2 in a 25.
Okay.
Okay. Now, basically, I'm trying to decide what the officer said. Everything was respectful. I mean, there was no problem with that part of it. But he basically said, okay, on the back, he says, what you need to do, and he says, here you complete guilty or non-guilty. He says, complete non-guilty, pay the court cost at the time, send it in. He says, you'll get a court date. And he says, I'll show up. And he says, basically, that you could get it probably reduced so that you don't have points on your record for, well, going so fast, I guess. But anyhow, what if I get there and he changes his mind or it doesn't work out that way?
Right. Well, then you got to take a defense and fight it out and hope you win. But even if you don't, you've got a 30-day right to appeal any conviction at the district judge level.
Right, right.
So go, and if the officer said that to you, usually that's not going to be in it. I mean, if they're saying that to you, then almost always they're going to honor that.
Okay, all right. That's what I'm saying is I don't get them. I mean, this is...
And if he doesn't remember, here's what you're going to do. Let's say you get there and he's like, well, I don't think I said that to you. You look him in the eye and you say, listen, I was just going to send this thing in, but you told me to take this hearing because you would reduce it. So I understand you might not remember me or remember the day because I know you write so many as I know how busy you really are, sir. You know, I'd be very respectful about it, but say, I honestly wouldn't have taken this. I'm just asking you to, you know, do what I thought you said you would do that day.
Okay. I was going to say, and it doesn't matter if it happened in his district, but he waited for a mile or two till they pulled me over in another district. I guess that don't matter.
Yeah.
If you break the law, you break the law. I mean,
well,
I guess that's
it can make a difference, but the Superior Court has extended what they call fresh, hot pursuit doctrine to include basically just following somebody at a normal rate of speed while you figure out what you want to do.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a Dukes of Hazzard, Cletus-style chase.
Okay.
All right, my friend.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good day.
All right, good luck.
Bye-bye.
540-0580. Tom, you want to talk about how to choose a lawyer?
Yeah, Tom here, Carl.
Yeah.
You got a pretty good show there on Saturdays, I must say.
Well, thank you very much.
You know, when you need to choose a lawyer, whether it's for family law, criminal law, or whatever, you know, how do you know you're making the right choices? And is there a special direction you need to go so you're comfortable in making the right choice to possibly get the results you want?
Well, I'll give you an example. I know a lawyer, and she said to me not too long ago, why do these people call me and I figure out that they're talking to like 10 other lawyers at the same time, and why are they shopping around so, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is for some people, they want to hear a specific answer or a specific personality type. So if you don't say your case is worth $1 million to somebody who's got a hangnail, they don't want to hire you because they think you're weak or you're not understanding their damage. And reality is maybe you don't want them as a client if you're the lawyer.
I agree with you.
On the other hand, sometimes people are looking for a fit. So, you know, a person who generally likes to solve problems by smashing things wants to hear the lawyers say, we're going to smash them. And a person who's very conciliatory likes to hear the lawyers say, you know, we can probably work this out in a way that, you know, is as easy on everybody as possible. So you have those different factors you need to consider when you're picking a lawyer. Do they fit your personality type, what you want to accomplish?
Right.
How knowledgeable they seem. But the only real way to do it is to sort of say, do I know this person? Do I know somebody that knows this person? Can I get references from the lawyer? You know, if you came to me and said, Carl, you know, I want to hire you for X, Y, and Z, but have you ever done it for anybody before?
Mm-hmm.
I've got to be really honest with you and say no if I haven't, but if I have, I should say yes, I have. And if you say, can you refer me to somebody? I say, well, it's a little tricky because I can't just tell you who my other clients are, right?
Right.
On the other hand, if I've thought ahead of time, I've said to clients before, do you mind if someone ever asks me for a reference, do you mind if I use you as a reference and get permission ahead of time? Then we can do that.
Right.
So the best way to pick a lawyer, I would say, if it's whatever the matter is, I'll give you an example. If it's a criminal matter, ask them how many criminal trials they've had. You know, if a lawyer's had very few criminal trials and been practicing criminal law for 20 years, it tells me they just plead everything out. Doesn't mean they might not get you a bad deal, but if you're really innocent or looking for an acquittal, they might not be the person who's going to take it to the mattress.
Right.
On the other hand, if the person's only been in practice 5 years and for some reason they've had 100 trials, it sounds like they don't get it because they don't know when to call, you know, when to throw in the towel.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to look for, you know, what makes sense. If they're a custody attorney, You know, how many conciliations have they done in the last few years, and how many of those have turned into custody trials? If they're all turning into custody trials, there's something wrong, and if none of them are turning into custody trials, something's wrong.
Right, that's what I was looking at, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Carl.
All right, my friend.
All right, yep.
540-0580. David, you're on the air.
Yes, Carl, I'm calling about grandparents' visitation rights in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
My wife and I were denied visitation by our daughter because of the problem my wife had with her new boyfriend. And, what are our chances of getting some kind of visitation with our grandchild?
As a general rule, grandparents are entitled to visitation if they've lived with the child. Has the child ever lived with you and your wife?
Yes, it has.
And even if mom's there, and was it for a period of a year?
Yeah, a little greater than a year.
And then you have standing for grandparents' visitation.
So if the child lived with me for a year, we have standing for a visitation.
Right. Now, you also have standing for custody for other reasons where a parent's unfit or there's substantial problems or one's in jail or dead. But that's a very tough road to hoe. But under Pennsylvania law, you do have the right to visitation if the child lived with you for a year or more. And that's a absolute right, as long as so in other words, the judge should give you visitation unless you're a hazard, and can do it over the parent's objection. Okay,
so what we would have to go and make a motion, or
usually you would come in and I would file a custody lawsuit, grandma and grandpa versus daughter and father, and even if the father hasn't been active or involved, he's still a party to the action, or has to be brought in, so he can at least say I don't care.
The new boyfriend is not the father.
Right. No. We don't care about him.
Okay.
And then what happens is the judge then will rule on it. And the long and short of it, if there's a disagreement, and she says, well, I only ever lived with my parents for 9 months, the judge will take evidence on it. And if you can prove she was there for more than a year, then we'll start talk about what's reasonable visitation. Now, is it going to be every other weekend? Probably not. Is it going to be, once a month for a Saturday? Probably yes, depending on the historical context with the grandparents.
Okay. Well, that answers my question, Carl.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Good day.
540-0580. Rick, you're back on the horse?
Saturday, probably, yes.
Turn your radio down, Rick.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Didn't hear you say my name.
Are you back on the horse?
Yeah, actually I was yesterday. I was riding her. The situation, I heard what you said there on the radio, and it's all right. I've had it to a lawyer, and this lawyer was actually, when the vet that pulled the tooth, when he was working on this horse, he looked at me and he said, Rick, he said, I'm going to make 2 copies of everything for you here. He said, one's for your copy, and he said, one's for any legal action. And he looked at me and winked. He said, do you understand what I'm telling you? And I said, yeah, I think I do. And then, after he was finished, he gave me the name of an attorney. Well, it turns out this attorney is actually the president of the Pennsylvania Equine Council.
Okay.
Now, I had been to him. He said, this University of Philadelphia or of Pennsylvania is going to hate me. This will be the 3rd lawsuit I've had against them. And I said, well, how'd you do on the other ones? He said, I won the first one, the second one, I'm probably going to win, and this one I know I would win, but I'm not going to take your case. And I said, what do you mean you're not going to take my case? He said, I won't make enough money on it.
Okay.
Now, I understand you're in it to make money, but when we go to an attorney, we're also looking for an attorney for help. And now this case with this horse, this veterinarian actually teaches down at Philadelphia at New Bolton Center. He talked to some of the doctors down there. He said, Chuck, don't do anything on this yet. He says, let me look. So we looked, and he waited, and I waited, and he called me back, and he said, the surgeons and the ones that did all of this are talking with the administration. They think something should be worked out with you. And I'm saying, okay, that's fine, but what they want to work out is there's like $3,000 left of it. And actually, this vet up that did the surgery in Williamsport, he said, don't pay it. And he talked with a veterinarian that was at Cornell that taught up there. And this vet in Williamsport.
I got to put you on hold. We're going to do this after the break. Hold on.
Okay.
540-0580. See you after the break. Oh, boy. Back on the air. All right, we get back on this horse here. Rick.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So,
trying to think where I left
yeah,
off.
well, I'll let me sum it up here. So far we're going back and forth. You've got this horse down at the high-end horse clinic. Some other vets fixed the horse. Now you want an adjustment on the bill.
Yeah,
and
here's the thing. This vet not only teaches there, he teaches throughout the country. He's probably one of the top equine dentistry vets in the country.
Mm-hmm.
He contacted all of his friends because I knew somebody that is close to him, and he was furious for weeks over this. And he even put me in contact with, like I said, the lady at Cornell, that they all agree what they did is wrong. And he said, he even showed me the report that they did, the discharge reports on my horse. He said, they say it right here 4 times. This tooth needs to be addressed. And he was telling me, he said, a horse isn't like a human being. You can't drill it and do a root canal and fix it. This horse for 2.5 years had an abscess tooth. I've got pictures of it. I've got the tooth where this horse was in so much pain. She literally reared up, tore boards out of the wall, straightened up bolts, came over on top of me. This horse was in so much pain for 2.5 years. You know, I had family and friends saying, why are you putting so much money into this horse? And I said, there's something that's minor that's causing this. And, you know, she had drainage in her mouth. And when we finally got the tooth pulled, within a week, I could touch her mouth.
Right.
Within 6 weeks, completely healed.
So remember, it comes back to the magic question, though, is you're going to have to get somebody to testify to the court that the other place did not follow the...
Oh, I already got that.
So
the lady, the veterinarian that was at Cornell, she's now down in Tennessee teaching down there somewhere. Plus, there's others. Plus,
but you have to bring them into court. You have to pay them to do that, right?
Right. I understand that.
So, and the next question is, we're fighting over how much money?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I don't know how much. But right now, the reason I wanted to go on there is I wanted people to be aware that they're doing this kind of stuff. You know, with me, what they told me is, well, we're going to try this. We're going to try
this. Yeah,
this.
And all I can say is, and I have to tell you this is your version of the events. Obviously, they're not here to tell us their version of the events.
Right.
And I can't take a side until I've heard from them. And even then, I might not take a side, or I would take a side. I don't know.
Well, I understand that. I just, you know, I've got the documentation to prove it. They have backed off because...
I understand. I'm going to... I got the idea here, so you understand the issues, and I'm going to leave you with one thought. Why did the vet... Do you know what the vet said to the horse?
To the horse?
Yeah. Why the long face?
Yeah, really.
All right.
My question... I got another question for you, though.
All right, one more question.
One more question. What attorney would help me with this?
It all depends. You're gonna end up spending more money.
At this point, I don't care. I've spent so much.
All right. Well,
you know,
if I were you, I would call Cope and Associates in Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, and ask for the resident horse expert.
Is this a joke?
No, not at all. Not at all. One of their lawyers over there is an equestrian.
What's the name?
Cope and Associates. KOPE.
Okay.
All right.
And horse.
Ask for their resident horse expert. I'm serious about that. All right.
All right. Bye.
540-0580. Steve, you're on the air.
Yes, I had a stroke about 4 months ago, and I'm paying cash for all my bills, and I've been paying between 60 and 100% of the billed amount based on how much I thought they were marking me up over what the insurance companies would pay them or the government. I mean, some people sent outlandish bills and some sent very reasonable bills. Mm-hmm. And I want to know, basically, what can they do to collect this arbitrarily billed amount from me? Well, what can I expect in the future?
Well, they'll sue you at some point after they go through the collections process of lots of annoying letters and phone calls.
Okay, if we're talking there are many billers, and
many times though we find that you can settle those. So you contact the biller and you go, you want $800, he's willing to pay you $400, or he's willing to. And they will accept that because, like you said, they're used to getting a lower percentage than the full cash bill amount.
I did do that with the York Hospital. They settled for 3/4 of what they billed, but the other billers are pretty much demanding their full amount. So You're saying after they go through the credit process, they will sue. Will that be a small claims court?
Some will be small claims unless the amount's in excess of $12,000.
Okay, can I somehow ask them, so would it be relevant to the magistrate that I make, it's sort of a discovery process where I say, will you bring me all your bills for the, you bring me all the billing records, I have trouble sometimes. I still have trouble putting my words together sometimes. I
understand what you're saying. You want to see proof that they're billing other people less, but the answer is they have contractual and legal reasons for doing that, which require, unfortunately, cash payers to pay the full freight. So that probably won't help you from a legal standpoint, but it may cause the judge to put some pressure on the settlement issues. But I don't even think you need them to bring it. We all know that exists in the legal field. All right?
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, Steve, thank you. Shane, how much time do I have before break here? A minute till the music starts. Okay, well, let's remind people of some exciting events till the music starts. December 11th at 7 p.m., I will be speaking at the Northern York Fish and Game Club on Gun Law at 40 Bremer Road. That's free and open to the public, so show up. December 15th, we're going to have David Goldman from the Gun Trust, and he's the gun trust lawyer, and he's going to be here telling you about how to start a gun trust. So all you gun nuts who call my office and want to know about gun trusts recently, this is going to be your chance to learn about them. January 19th, we're going to have David Goss from the North American Forensic Accounting. He's going to talk to us about forensic accounting and how it works in white-collar and civil cases. And on February 2nd, Glenn Yoder from Coldwell Banker Select Professionals will be on talking about property management and landlord-tenant issues. So if you're a landlord or a property owner and you've thought about how to manage your property or how to run a tenant issue, this guy's going to be somebody who works practically in the realty field on it to talk to you about it. So all those things will be coming up. Of course, Shane has them all up on romingerlaw.com, ROMINGER law.com. And you can reach us in the office at 717-241-6070, 717-241-6070. I'll see you after the break. And as always, the talk line number is 540-0580.